Pretty amazing, Johnny. I don't know if most of us could say that. Then what happened? You're going along and everything is amazing and you're doing this work that's super fulfilling and really goes back to those days when you were first yourself a youth and getting introduced to backpacking and doing the fishing and sailing, and then being a counselor for youth in California. And then here you are working with youth again, being a single parent to your daughter, which is just so amazing, and rocking it in recovery. What happened?
Yeah, so that was actually one of the topics I want to talk about. So I'm cruising along, everything's cool. I got these really good friends, and my recovery was really solid for most of that time. And then I shifted. My friend left, actually got out of a relationship, ended up going to work at the Spruce Street residential center. And then my hips started, I started having a lot of pain, and then I had to kind of alter my physical stuff, and then my pain got worse. And then my recovery system that I had built up, I had not participated in as much. And then I started going to the doctor, and I realized that I needed a hip replacement, and probably two. And at that point, I had 7.5 years. I had almost 8 years. So I'm going to the doctor. I'm in a lot of pain. Now I'm limping really badly, all these things. And then at that point, the doctor prescribed me a drug called Ultram. And he said it's not addictive. And I was like, oh, that's funny. But there's this part of me, that's funny part of me knowing that I had not taken, I hadn't even taken ibuprofen in them 8 years. As we like to say, could be cut out of this. My shit was tight in recovery. I did not mess around. And I remember taking that and experiencing pain relief, and also oh, damn. And sure enough, then I took that, and then my pain got worse, my hips got worse, my recovery was not on point. And then as it got worse, they offered me to take other medications on top of the Ultram, and one of them was probably hydrocodone. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, which that I know what that means, and it means I'm going down a path that is very risky. And then I started taking that, and then I stopped really talking to people. Then my sponsor actually got sick and passed away. And then I remember it wasn't one day, but it was that I knew that I was taking more than prescribed, and then I knew I lost my clean date, and then everything just got really messy because I was still trying to be in recovery without a real clean date. And then it got more messy because I felt so bad about that. Well, I just felt bad about my addiction, really. And then one day, in all that mess, I just decided to go downtown and be like, well, if I don't have all that, I may as well go get real relief. That was not cool. I was a counselor. I love my job. I love my work. I love the young people I work with. I love most of my coworkers. I loved everything about what I was doing. And then I got strung out really badly. And then I kept trying to push it, and I got confronted by a coworker, Ryther Akamina. I don't know where he is now. He just straight up was like, Johnny, man, I know what's going on with you. And I was like, deny. But he was right. And so he told on me actually to the people at Ryther. And I got pulled into the office, all this stuff. Now my addiction's really bad. And I was lying to them and stuff like that. And then they were like, well, you can't work here anymore. So, of course, I was devastated. And they told me to call this number. So I'm sitting home alone. I called the number the next day. And I was like, hi, my name's Johnny Ohta, blah, blah, blah. And they got all serious. And they're like, do you ever want to work in this field again? And I was like, I thought I was calling you for help. And they were all so serious. And it turned out I had called the Washington Health Professional Services Program. Whoops for that. They grew down on my ass. They were like, mail in your license immediately. You were suspended. So I'm in addiction. I lost my job. I'm trying to, still be a father, and do the things I'm supposed to do. And and uh, and then they put me in whoops, and then I kept struggling. And I was doing whoops, urinalysis, call every day, go to groups once a week. Kept struggling in addiction. Finally, I had this great plan that I was going to get my hips replaced and I would get clean in the hospital. I had a great plan. I thought it was such a great plan. I would just get it all together, and when I got to the hospital, they do the hip replacement, um, and then I'd get clean there. And so 2 days before I was going to get my hip replaced, I got all the prep work done. I get a call from my surgeon at 9:30 at night. And Dr. Clark, he's like, John, I got a call from somebody who says they're your sister, and they said you're using IV drugs. And I was like, oh, my sister's crazy. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with her. That's fine, And so then I hung up the phone and I started crying, 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 crying. And I called him back and I said, my sister's right. And I called my sister, crying, 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 because she had intervened on me. And then I got my little green book out from back in the day and took my not well self to Lakeside Milam on January 6th. Last day I used was January 6th of 2000. And then I just handed them all my medication, handed everything. I was in a massive amount of pain, huge pain. Lakeside Milam, they didn't even give me ibuprofen. They were just like, take a bath. And so, and then I just started my journey back.